Hi, welcome to another episode of the Juan Words podcast. My name is Anjelica.
And I'm Juan Alanis.
Welcome. So here we are again. I think we're doing pretty good. Are you gonna talk to me?
I'm letting you intro.
Well, I'm not sure if you have a specific intro, so I don't know.
No, that's good. You're doing good.
Okay. So welcome to another episode of the Juan Words podcast. My name is Anjelica Casares.
And I'm Juan Alanis. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, so we're back. I think we're doing a very good. I really enjoyed the last podcast that we had. I rewatched it, and I was like, oh shit, like that was actually an interesting conversation. We talked about a lot of stuff, but we ended up. I think we were trying to talk about the fika. Right? Yeah, we did. We
were trying to focus on it. We ended after a while we talked about fika, but I think we talked about a bunch of other stuff. But it was a good show. I liked it.
Yeah, it was fun. So on today's show, we're gonna. First, do we have any sponsors?
We do. We want to thank Comcast, who's our sponsor for the episode. As you know, they're friends here in Houston, and we've been working with them for a few months. But if you are looking for reliable, fast internet and a good entertainment on the Xfinity app, definitely look up Comcast Xfinity in your area. And thanks to them for supporting our small business.
Yeah. So. All right. And on today's episode, I want to talk to you, Juan. I was reading a post, right? And they were talking about love. They were talking about how, I don't know, it was a dramatic post, of course, because I was reading it. Something about like...
It was a dramatic post because you were reading it, or it was just a dramatic post?
No, it was just a dramatic post, which is why I stayed on the post. And I was insisting on like reading up on it.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember it. What I do remember from the post is somebody said something along the lines of, there are 7 types of love, and it shows that you don't know. And it's 7
types of love, like 7 kinds of love, like between like couples, or like all just in general, love in general.
From my understanding, it's just there's 7 different kind. I don't know if it's 7 different kind of like love languages, but I think that's different. I want to say that's different.
Oh, okay.
But there are 7 different kinds of just love, as opposed to like just amore, right? Just like, ooh, I love my partner. I want to be with you. Right? No, just kidding. There are 7 kind of different loves, and I have them listed here. I didn't know they existed. I didn't know that was actually like true. Because you know how sometimes you hear about breakups, and then sometimes they'll be like, oh, I love you, but I don't love you. Like, I don't love you like that.
I've heard of it. I love you, but I don't like you.
Good God. No, I think it was just, I love you, but I don't love you like that.
Or I like you, but I don't love you.
I like you, but I don't love you.
Yeah, like I've heard those 2 things, like in the like not that somebody's told me that, but like I've heard them like in the like on like I feel like on TV or stuff like that. Like I've heard like some people say, like, you know, in the movies they say, or like in shows they'll say, I love them, or I love him, but I don't like him anymore, or I like him, but I just don't love him. No,
I hear like I love you, but I don't love you like that.
Or it's almost like,
I love you as a person, but I don't love you as a partner.
It's almost like when somebody says, it's not you, it's me. It's me.
Yeah. Yeah, that can get quite...
Then it's like, okay.
Yeah. So on today's episode, we're going to talk about those 7 different types of love. So to begin with, you can experience 7 different kinds of love. And ancient Greek philosophers said there was exactly 7 kinds. So we'll start with the obvious one, the physical one, right? And this one's called Eros.
Eros, yeah.
Eros. E-R-O-S.
Yeah.
Eros.
Like, yeah, like, I think it's like derivative of a lot of words, like erotic, no?
Yeah.
Like it's like what do they call it? Like the base word, or like the root word?
It's got a root word.
The root word.
I think Latin words are root words. I don't know if Greek words are root words. Don't quote us. We're not English
We're
majors.
not the language people here. We're not the language specialists here. So we're just kind of guesstimating. But yeah, Eros makes sense. Yeah. That's like, I'm assuming physical love, that means like lust, no?
Yes, so Juan, it's to describe physical, sexual attraction and passionate love. Eros is sexual desire in its purest form. It is really the closest thing to modern romantic love we see in the movies, right? So it's like love at first attraction, I guess is the way you would describe it. It's love at first, like first physical attraction. And so to backtrack, the reason that I found this topic interesting was because this right here, right, the physical attraction, I myself don't find myself physically instantly attracted to people. Like I don't see somebody walking down the street, or I don't like see somebody like from afar and think to myself, oh yeah, it's a sexy man over there or something. You know what I mean? Like I don't find physical attraction like that. But so my kind of love doesn't come in this form. This comes after for me.
So you've never been like the type of person that sees like a celebrity or somebody and you're like, oh, look, that person is really like, they look really good.
Yeah, no. I've told you this before. Like I think in passing we might have seen somebody and I might have like my eyes don't wander.
Well, not that they wander, but I think that if something is pleasing to look at, then you like, it's not like you're wandering over there to look at it. It just happens to be pleasing to look at.
I don't know. That's creepy. That sounds a way creepy one. But for me, it's not like that. Like, it's not like I don't see somebody and think to myself like, oh, that's.
You know how they say like
I don't know how to explain that.
You know how they say like beauty is all about symmetry, and like that certain like facial features, whether it's in a man or a woman, like if they have their cheekbones are a certain way, if their face like
I see
if the placement of their eyes, that like in their lips and their face and their hair and their face, like they just are like asymmetric, like there's in symmetry and they look attractive and they call people's attention. So when they walk into a room, you can't help but to notice them because you're like, oh wow, like they look nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's pretty, and then there's exotic, and I can see all those forms. Like I can see when people look pretty, and then I can see when people look exotic, and I can see all of that. But it's not something that I like. Like it doesn't. No me atrae. I don't know how to say that. Like it doesn't. Like I don't land in that place of like lust.
Maybe it's that after the initial like fascination wears off, that like maybe it just wears off quicker for you, that you're like, oh okay, look, that's a nice looking person, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh okay, but yeah,
for me it never arrived, so it doesn't wear off. Like it never arrived, like it never came to me, like it doesn't. I don't know how to explain it. And we've had this conversation where I told you, we'll see somebody attractive, I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'll glance over to you or something. I don't remember how this came up in conversation or something. And I told you, Juan, don't worry about the people who look good. Like for me to be attracted to you, I was like, worry about the people who I'm interested in and talk to a lot. Because that's where like my brain starts to connect things. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, oh, this person is really attractive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to me, I feel like I think like physical attraction is like the easiest like form of attraction, because
for me it's talking,
because you can see somebody and you can like appreciate, you know, like their features. Like you can appreciate like if somebody has like nice features, if they look attractive, if they, you know, they carry themselves a certain way, like you just naturally are like, oh okay, like it's. Now, when they open their mouth, you know, it might be a completely different story, and you might be like, "Oh, okay, well, there goes that."
Where you're like, might be disappointed.
Yeah, you might be like, "Okay, like, yeah, okay." Like, no wonder you're sitting here by yourself. Let me go over there.
Juan, God, rude. But
I don't think that. I think a lot of people start with Eros. Like they start with the physical attraction, and then you build on it. Like I think that's like the first entry point, and then you start like seeing whether there's anything there. Like, are you compatible? Can you speak to each other? Can you hold a conversation?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you said that, because here it says it's both intense, consuming, and sometimes quick to burn out, or it fades away fast. Relationships built purely on Eros do not last, which provides immense insight into the many short-lived relationships in our society.
What does that song say? I think it's a Ramon Ayala song that says, that he says something about, no la busques muy bonita.
The little kid song?
Something about, he says about his mom. Siempre me decía mi lejito, no la busques muy bonita. Que al paso del
Busca
tiempo.
amor, solamente
Busca
amor.
amor,
Yeah.
solamente.
Here we
Oh, no,
have
we're
Juan
butchering
singing.
the song.
No, I'm not singing, sweetheart. You are. You're butchering the song. So
Sorry, Ramon Ayala fans.
Eros is characterized by a loss of control, sometimes poor judgment. So if you have this physical, immense attraction to somebody, it can lose you to lose, like, it gives you poor judgment. Like you can, so I guess that's when people have that way of like, they use that as an excuse to like, if they like cheat on their partner, they're like, I just, it was in the moment and I didn't mean it. And she means nothing to me. That kind of thing.
But I think of it like teenage love, like in there, like when you're
that is teenage
when
love.
you're like a teenager and like you're just starting to like experience and whatever, and then you can get lost in like that little puppy love that becomes like a little erotic, and then all of a sudden it's like you lose your head.
Yeah, it's not practical.
Yeah,
it's not like it's kind of
fun.
senseless.
It feels good, but
you cannot every episode you cannot come on here be creepy, Juan.
I'm not being creepy. I'm just saying,
you can't
like,
come on here.
I'm not being
acting
creepy.
real wild.
No, I'm just saying, like, in the moment, like as a kid, as a teenager, when you think back to those relationships, that you, like, in the moment, it was just like fun. Like you were, like you were just like you didn't know any, but you didn't know any different. You were just learning.
Okay, it is raw, pure, primal. I said that word right. Burns out and has a quick light flame. It can. Fades away.
This episode of the Juan of Words podcast is brought to you by our friends at Comcast Houston, who we are very proud to be working with. And they recently awarded through their Comcast Rise investment fund in the community of Houston in the entrepreneur
At the price of how much?
They invested $1 million.
They sure did. To how many? To how many?
To 100 businesses. They each received $10,000. So
there's a lot that you can do with $10,000 in your business.
Yeah, and we are grateful for Comcast for their support of our small business and for the support of other small businesses. So enjoy the podcast, and thank you to our friends at Comcast.
Enjoy the rest of the episode.
So the second one is called, pronounce that for me, Juan. Ludus?
Ludus? I don't know.
Ludus. It's called Playful Love. Playful love is also, it's seduction, flirtation, whirlwind affairs all stem from ludus. So I guess it's the ones where, y'all kind of, I guess it's a place where like in a workplace environment, how some people can like become attracted and you look forward to the next day to see them. Like, I guess that's where like the flirtation can like be troublesome, right? It's a place that it's kind of like that like, that seduction. It's that like taking your time with getting to a place where y'all start to like really, really like each other.
To me, I was just reading it when you were fixing the camera. I was reading it, and to me it sounds like the beginning of a relationship. Like when you first meet somebody, like like first it's the eros, like where you felt attracted to them. You saw them at a bar or a club or like a party, and you were like, oh, who's that? And you went to go talk to them, and you made a date.
Yeah.
And then Ludus to me then is like the first date where
let me give you the definition to hear your perception on it.
Okay.
It is found in the early stages of love and playfulness that exists between two lovers. It is characterized by teasing, euphoria, flirting, butterflies in the stomach. This kind of love allows us to become children again, regardless of our age. Truly successful long-term relationships need Ludus in order to survive the test of time. It's the secret ingredient to keeping love fresh, exciting, as well as a powerful binder when times get rough. Ludus, however you pronounce this, is light, free, and airy. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying. To me, that sounds like when you first like get into a relationship or you're starting to date somebody. You're not even in a relationship yet, but you're like when you start dating somebody and then you really click with that person, and then you're texting back and forth all the time, or you're calling each other on the phone, or you start dating like several times a week. Like you start like making excuses to go see each other.
That's the thing, though. I don't think you have to make excuses. I think I think it can be in play of like, it just, when it naturally happens, whenever y'all see each other, there's this natural attraction to each other where y'all...
that comes later.
So it comes like when y'all...
That was a Freudian slip.
Whoops. So this one comes when you're like, when you get, can you let me speak? Damn it. No, I'm going to forget it. I swear to bobbin sticks. Let me fix myself here. So this comes when, I guess when y'all see each other and there's a natural attraction to each other. And if you allow it, right? And if you pursue it, it can lead to a larger relationship.
Yeah, like
to a forever relationship.
Yeah, and I think like it's like, you know, to me it's like it is kind of like what you're saying and what I was saying like earlier, like, you know, when you find somebody that you really you decide that you really like each other, you really like spending time with each other, so you just start finding any opportunity to be together.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And eventually, like, if you know, that's kind of like you're still like, what do they call it? You're still your representative in this stage. So like, you're not your true self yet. You're like, you're still your representative of who you want the other person to perceive you as, because you're like, you enjoy spending time with them so much that you put your best foot forward every time you're with them. So maybe they haven't seen you like get really pissed off. They really haven't seen you like
at your truest. Yeah,
like let your guard down. They haven't seen that true person yet.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That can always fuck shit up when somebody clearly shows you who they are.
Attack you.
All right. The third one is called philia. So friendship love. Philia is the deepest wholesome love you feel towards your friends, colleagues, and teammates. Philia is companionship, trust, and friendship. When you feel closely connected to someone after having gone through a difficult time together, this is philia. When you first encounter philia, you may have the sensation that you have already met each other before. Ooh, isn't that creepy? Sometimes have you ever met somebody when you're like, I don't know, like I feel like I know you. Have you ever had that happen to you?
Maybe, but I don't remember. I've had deja vu happen where I'm like, oh wait, I think I already lived this moment.
No, I've had that moment where I've met somebody and I'm like, I don't know why I know you. I feel like I know you. And then you start talking about crazy and you're like maybe in some past life we like were friends maybe or something, or we like encountered each other.
Kindred spirits.
Yeah. So sensation you might have already met. It is free from physical attraction, flexible in nature, and rooted in loyalty. Plato, for whom platonic love gets its name, felt that philia was the highest form of love. His student Aristotle disagreed. Aristotle felt that friendship between lovers was the highest form of love. Do you believe that? Do you believe
friendship between lovers?
Yeah. Do you believe that friends, like, so you ever hear when people say like, my husband or my wife is my best friend? Do you believe that?
Do I believe that you're my best friend?
Do you believe that's a thing? Yeah. Do you believe that your lover, or that your husband, or that your partner can be your best friend also, including your lover?
I think so. I mean, I think it's like, it makes sense that somebody that you share so much of yourself, that you're so open with, that you would consider them like somebody like that's not only like, you know, your lover and your partner, but they're also just a friend, like somebody that has your best interest in mind. But like, I wouldn't say like I'm like, oh, that's my friend. Like that wouldn't be the first thing that comes to mind. You know, I think it'd be like, oh yeah, you know, well, my wife, yeah, she's my friend also, but I wouldn't be like, oh, she's my best friend.
That should come without saying.
I know, to me that's what it is. It's like it comes without saying. So it's like, I don't get, like, I kind of get why people say it. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know that is your best friend, because it, like, when that person,
I don't think that either.
Because like if that person like upsets you, or like something happens, like you know, you still have your best friend that you can talk to. You still have other friends,
yeah. I feel like in my relationship with you, I feel like you're like a part of me. Like we're not friends, like of course we're friends, and of course there's times where I talk to you like a best friend and I like open up and I'm honest completely, but I don't feel like I can be honest with you about everything, right? I feel like there's some things that I prefer to talk to somebody else about, where I can be honest and say the things to see what kind of reaction I'll get before I have your reaction. You know what I mean? Like, I trust what you say, and I know you're always going to have my best interest, you know, in mind. But sometimes that that's not always a good thing, because your best interest in me might not be what I necessarily need at the moment.
I think sometimes when you live with somebody when you live with somebody day in and day out, when you like, sometimes you as a person, you're gonna change, like you're gonna like evolve in some way.
Yeah.
And it's harder for the person that lives with you every day to like be open to that or accepting of that at the beginning, because they're gonna be like, wait, what are you doing? Like, why are you changing everything around? As opposed to like, if it just like progressively happens and you don't need, like, that person doesn't need to be the one that you're like, say, kind of like guide me through this process, or I'm going to talk to you about this process I'm going through. Not that you don't trust them or that you don't want to let them in on it. Like, yeah, you might like talk to them and have some conversations about it, but you might have like a friend who you might say, like, be like, tell them more openly, like, I'm just at this point where I'm like kind of experiencing this, or this is where my head is, and I'm feeling this way and that way and blah blah blah, to kind of process your own thoughts.
I think with different people, I open up differently too. I think you are like, but I think the thing is that my ugly. You know what I mean? Like, you've seen me at my worst. I've experienced my absolute. I mean, but we've been together for so long, so that's the inevitable, right? Is that you've seen me at my complete worst. And so my worst in the time frame of now, not like as in like always. Like, I can tell you the stories of like what my worst was, but unless you see me go through it, you're not going to know what it was, right? You see me go at my worst with a partner, because you were my partner. But I feel like when you're going through things like on alone and on your own, it's easier to have conversations with other individuals who who can relate. Because me and you can relate, but we can't always relate.
Yeah, and I think it's like when you've been with somebody so long, you can feel like, oh no, I already know you. I already know what you're gonna say. I already know what you're thinking. I already know like I already know where your mindset is at. And sometimes that's not true, but it's harder for that person that knows you so well to accept that they don't know, that maybe, oh, you know what, maybe this time I don't have the answer.
I don't know that.
I don't know.
So for example, I was a single mother for like a very small portion of my life, right? For like maybe a year and a half, right? And you don't know what it is to be a single mother, or you haven't lived with your mom to be a single mother. You know what I mean?
No.
And so that's not something
I've
that
never
you
been
can.
a single mother.
No, you haven't. And so, but that's what I'm saying though. You're not going to be able to have experience that. And for me to have that conversation, I can just tell you what it is like, or I can go to like my friend, like my friend Amanda, who was a single mother, and she's experienced that. And so when me and her to get together, we talk about that time, because we've experienced it, and it's a painful period in our life that sometimes we connect on a different level.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point, because I guess our life didn't begin the day that we met and started getting to know each other. So everything that happened before that point, like there's certain things that, maybe other people would understand better than the person that you met and move forward with.
Yeah.
From that day.
So it simply states, true friendships inspire and desire for truthfulness and authenticity. Philia stems from the solar plexus chakra. It is gentle, deep, and glowing.
The chakras are like what? Like
your center, core?
They're like energies?
Is it?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I'm completely ignorant to. This love can flow for many years, even without communication or contact. So
yeah, because there's like
friendship. Yeah,
there's like friends that you don't see in a long time, but when you see them again, like you can pick up right where you left off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you see each other, you're like, damn, hey, how's it going?
Like,
and then just you pick right up where you left off.
Or you can tell there's like a mutual feeling of like camaraderie, that where you really feel like you really esteem the other person and they esteem you.
Yeah. Okay. So next, it's called, pronounce that for me. Storge. You pronounce the E?
I think so. I think I've heard it pronounced Storge, but don't quote me on that.
It's a profound and sacrificial love that parents have for their children. It is characterized by unconditional acceptance, profound forgiveness, and self-sacrifice. Though this love, children come to understand, confront, nurturing security and safety. This creates a foundation for the child to be capable of feeling other kinds of love in the future. Storge is similar to philia in that there is no physical attraction. Storg, is a very powerful form of love, claimed by many parents to be the greatest form of love that a person is capable of feeling. Because of this intensity, it can create, because it always comes with problems, right? It can create obstacles, in our lives. When our closest family members don't align with our values, we can feel incredibly conflicted. Storge comes directly from the heart chakra. When a storge love is lost, the pain can literally be felt in the chest. So it's the profound love for like your children, or the profound love that you have for the unphysical, completely no attraction that you have for another human being. And usually it's like a child. Would you agree? It's one of those that you have where you just, it's very binding.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like a love that's like very I like when I say that you feel it in your heart, like I guess that's true, because you do feel like anything, like you're like, oh, like, you know, it's like it's a part of you in some way.
I've heard of some others who had first have I don't remember, because I have forgotten a lot, and going through my series of depressions and anxieties, I have mentally forgotten a lot of things in the past, and one of them happens to be like the time that Edgar was born. Like I remember some moments, like I don't remember like seeing him for the first time. I don't remember that. But I've heard like in the past, like mothers will talk about their experience as a first mother when they first seen their child, and they don't feel like the love for them immediately. That it comes later with time, as they see them often, and as their love grows for them, as they take care of them. So I'm curious to know if it's an immediate kind of thing, if it's, you know what I mean, that parental love like happens naturally.
I mean, I think some part of it probably does, but I don't think they're like, you know, there's a lot of people that, like you were saying, that go through that, where they feel like, oh, at the beginning, they don't feel connected to the kid because they're like, oh, you know, I just don't know, whether it's because they're like going to PTSD, or it just happens to be that this is their first time that they're like dealing with a child. And so they're like, I'm not sure how I should be feeling. And so they just, you know, maybe they don't have the feelings that they think they should have.
Yeah.
But I think like at some point, for the most part, I think most parents will feel like, you know, that point, that thing that they're willing to sacrifice or go without in order to do more for the kid to have something, or for the child to have more.
I think in that kind of relationship, I think the parent loses more than the child does. I've seen parents like completely like go against everything to protect and to do for a child.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that at all. I think me and Edgar, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this, but even Edgar, I've told him in the past, like I remember, I think he was raising his voice or something, and we were talking or something like that. And I told him, I was like, Edgar, if you ever talk like that to your partner, or if you ever talk like that to like a girlfriend, or if you ever do something where I feel like it's threatening, I was like, I'll call the cops on you. I don't care. He looks at me, he's like, what? He's like, Mom. And I was like, yeah, dude, like you, that like, I think you have to like know when to stop and pull away, and know when good is good and what's bad is bad. Because I think when you have unconditional love for somebody, you don't see the bad. So it can be detrimental to everybody, right? The kid gets away with it, and you're just kind of feeding right? It's the same thing like when parents lose a lot when their like loved one is going through like addictions, right? They like lose money, they'll lose cars, houses, everything.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like one thing. Yeah. I mean, I think that in general, like it's not good to do an excess, but I think that sometimes they're like, unless you're in a situation, then I think it's like hard to like experience what it is, like what it actually is, or like what how right. people actually like live it and feel it and react to it. So, you know, like some people you could easily point to somebody and say like, oh, they give too much, or siempre le da por su lado, or, you know, like that's their fault. But it's hard to like it's hard to know, like, if you don't know the full story, to know what the reasoning is.
I don't know, Juan, because when wrong is wrong, wrong is wrong.
Yeah, no, and I'm not saying that it's not, but I'm saying, like, sometimes it's like hard to, like, it's like a fine line.
Or you can do like that.
And, yeah, because
wrong is wrong.
And as an outsider looking in, it's easy to, like, it's always easy to, like, be like, oh, if I was in that situation, I would do this and this and this. But then when you're in it, it's a little different.
No, you're right, and I agree. I definitely agree, but it's holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right.
But it's like a romantic relationship that's abusive. Like, the person that's in the relationship is being abused. They may not realize that they're being abused, and they, like, somebody might tell them that they're being abused, and they're not going to react well to that.
Sometimes I don't even know that because sometimes the upbringing is similar to what they're experiencing. And so they, it's not as bad, but, that's always the comparison. Like, oh, it's not as bad.
Right. Because everybody grows up with a lot of trauma, and especially, like, and when you grow up in a culture where that doesn't really talk about the trauma that you dealt with or that you grow up in, that's part of people's lives. And of course, like, you're going to repeat that stuff.
Yeah.
Or you're going to fall back into that pattern where you, like, end up in a situation that, you're reliving things that you didn't subconsciously, you got yourself into a situation that you didn't want to be in.
I agree with all of that one, but I have to say, when it's not right, it's not right. And there has to come a stopping point where you have to say, like, that cannot be crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying, like, like, stuff like that happens.
I hear you. But I still say something. Sometimes when me and you are compatible in a lot of things, and other times I think we disagree on some things.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's not an argument. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not trying to argue.
I'm just
either.
giving you a different perspective.
No, I've seen their perspective. I'm just saying. No. All right. Okay. So next, pragma, long-lasting love. You'll find pragma, love with couples who have been together many years. It develops over time, transcends beyond the physical world. Transcends beyond the physical world, is an easy harmony and balance here. It is a rare type of love in our societies today. Our culture puts emphasis on finding love, not on maintaining and nurturing it. Unlike Stoic, pragma requires effort from both parties. It is the art of learning compromise, developing patience, and being tolerant. It is characterized by communication, duty, respect, admiration, compromise, and common goals. Some often differentiate pragma from Eros by saying that it is like standing in love rather than falling in love. Pragma, love, comes from the throat chakra, as communication is key.
What number is that?
I don't know. I stopped counting.
I was like, wait, is that the last love?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
No.
What do you think about that one?
That one's difficult because patience, dude. Like this one is definitely in the stage. I believe if this was stages, this is the stage we would be at, Juan. The long lasting love, where we're in the place where either we make this work or we don't, right? Like we can't keep letting petty things get in the way. We can't keep fighting about the same things over and over. Like we have to find common ground and faster. And we have to forgive often, and we have to be patient. And it is definitely it's like the one that stands true to its time. It has to be the one that I don't know. I don't think we've hit our relationship, Juan, between me and you, our benchmark of like, yeah, this is, I know it's forever, but you know what I mean? There's times and moments in the relationship where you're like, oh, no, I'm done. Right? Why are you look confused?
No, I'm not looking confused, but I'm like, to me, like, I feel like that, like, to a certain degree, I feel like does that change, like, at some point where you stop getting frustrated with the other person, like where they stop, like, where there are like little things about them that, like, bother you, or that you're like, I really would prefer if we didn't do that.
Well, here the character. Okay, so it is characterized by communication, duty, respect, admiration, compromise, and common goals. I know we have common goals. That I know for sure. Do we compromise? More often than I would say we were pretty good at compromising most of the time. Now, do we have patience for each other? Are we tolerant of each other? Do we always have respect for each other? Do we admire one each other? You know what I'm saying? So that's the call of time. That's one of those things that you're like, it does. It takes a lot more out of you to see you and be like, you know what? I don't want to communicate with him today. Today, it's not my day. Today, he sucks.
But that's a choice, though. Like that's a choice that both people have to make to be in that relationship where, you know what, like today, you know what, today is not the day for you and I to speak, and that's okay. Or like, you know, today I'm angry at you, and I just need a moment to be away from you. And you know, that to me, that's like, you know, getting to a point where you can love the person enough to be like, okay, you know what, like I don't agree with you. I think that's like what you be like, not speaking is kind of like rude, but you know what, I'll give you your space.
Yeah, but
because it's a decision on both parts. Like, one, you're making the choice rather than argue to say, you know what, I just need to step away. And the other person is making the choice, as opposed to insisting that you have this conversation, that they're like, okay, you know what, let me give them their space.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. You can't, like, it can't always be one doing the compromise. It can't be one just being the patient one. It can't be one just like being more lenient than the other, right? Because even though like in our relationship, Juan, I think you are the most patient one, and I think you're the more you're more one for sure, the more patient one, and you're for sure more like the one who takes their time. You know what I mean? But in terms of like the way things actually happen in our relationship, I'm definitely the more lenient one. Like I'm more willing to give than to get. In a lot of ways. Yeah,
but that's what I mean. Like it's like, but at the same time, like if you weren't in that, whatever the phrase was called, I don't even know what it was called anymore. But like, what is it called? This one?
Pragma.
Pragma. Like if you weren't in the like, if you weren't willing to like maintain and to be like, you know what, like this is worth the back and forth. Like it's still worth, the relationship is still worth, you know, moving forward, then, you know, you wouldn't be tolerant, and the other person wouldn't be patient. Because it's very easy to just be like, you know what, like, you know, okay, you want to be mad, then I'll be mad too. Oh, you want to do this, then I'll do that too.
Oh, you're trying to be petty.
Yeah, like it's easy to be petty.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. So I think it's because it is easy to be petty. It is easier to like, I don't know, like I never want to be in the relationship because we've been together for so long. I want to be in the relationship because we still serve a purpose with each other and we want to be in it.
But I mean, I guess going to the other point that they said in that thing, and what you were reading is like that. I guess it's not like people are. I guess it's not as accepted either, and like to say like that you're in a long-term relationship, because I guess people are so quick to be like, you know what, oh, you know, you're having problems, you know what, get away from that person or separate from that person, or like, you know, it's like so much more accepted to be like, you know what, move on with your life, they don't deserve you, as opposed to like say, you know what, hey, we're trying to have a long-term relationship. And like because at the same time it's like it's easy, the probability that the relationship might fail, you know, is pretty high, like in all honesty, right? I mean, in society today, it's like very high that people get divorced. So then what happens if you do get divorced after you were like here recording the show and you were saying like, oh, you know, we're in this pragma love or whatever, and people are going to be like, look at her, you know, she thought she was in pragma love and now she's divorced.
At the moment, yeah, I was. At the moment, yes, of course I am. But you leading up to that, go ahead. That's what
people think, like that they're afraid of like saying too much, because then they think that if they do like get a divorce, people are going to be like, oh, you see, they weren't so perfect after all.
No, of course not. No, we're so far from perfect. It ain't even funny.
And I think that like as a society, we're always like waiting for that other shoe to drop and to be like, oh, you know what? Look, see, they're human too. And like instead of like instead of like
celebrating what they had.
celebrating and encouraging and being like, oh yeah, I hope they do make it. Like I think people are more inclined to be salacious and be like, look at them, they're divorced. Oh, what happened? I wonder what happened.
I don't know. I don't think that's true for everybody. I think sometimes
There's a
some
lot of
people root you on. No, I think some people root you on. So, but leading into that, like if you do fall, if pragma doesn't work out for you, right? And you're like, well, what the hell? Here we have this one, right? It's called philautia. Yeah.
Philautia?
Philautia. Good
know.
God. Okay. So this one is called self-love. Our sense of belonging, purpose comes from philautia. Self-love is a foundation love. It is possible to have real love for others until it is impossible to have real love for others until you first love yourself. It is not to be confused with narcissism. The Buddhist philosopher of self-compassion speaks of acceptance of your own imperfections, allowing for your comparison of others. Speaks of acceptance of your own imperfections, allowing for the comparison of yourself and others. The Greeks believed that the only way to true happiness was to learn unconditional love for yourself. Self-love takes time and perseverance to harvest. Those who are naturally inclined to be comfortable of having a human experience will tend to have a greater ability to enjoy self-love. Yes. Others will have to work hard to achieve, which is me, hard to achieve this love. Self-love comes from the all-seeing third eye chakra. In order to love yourself, you must first see yourself. What do you think?
I mean, I think you can have like the long-term love and still have self-love. That self-acceptance can be like, you can have self-acceptance and like self-love at the same time that you have like a relationship, because I think like sometimes self-acceptance takes a long time to achieve, because you don't like it, like
I think it comes in cycles. I don't think it takes a long time. I think it comes in cycles.
Yeah, but I mean, to truly achieve it, like sometimes I think it takes a long time, because you can accept certain parts of you can like certain parts of yourself, but then to really like be comfortable in your own skin sometimes takes longer. And I think because we like put so much emphasis on like finding a partner, or like finding your match, tu media naranja, like especially in Mexican culture, like Latino culture, there's always like such a big emphasis on like, are you gonna get married? Are you gonna have kids? Are you gonna do this? Are you gonna do that? Like,
don't live your life alone.
Yeah, there's such a big emphasis on like finding your partner, finding your like other half. We have like all these sayings like, un descosido para un roto para un descosido, like, like you always
un
like
clavo saca otro.
Yeah, like there's all these like sayings of like, you find your match, you find that person that's like completes you. But and that may be that you find that person that's like that you feel completes you, but at the end of the day, like if you don't feel complete, then you can't you're going to be limited, because you're going to project some of your issues onto that other person, even if you don't want to.
Sometimes I feel like I hear what you're saying, but sometimes I feel incomplete. Sometimes I feel like I'm constantly like losing myself. Sometimes I think I know myself, and then it turns out like I didn't know myself that well. And I feel like I'm always looking to, because I'm in the process of wanting to like change habits, change myself. So I have to like myself in the form that I'm like changing more to like metamorphosing myself into that person.
But I think that's like a constant thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's a constant moving.
Because I feel like I feel like that sometimes too. Like where I'm like, I'm so used to being around like you, and so used to being around Edgar that I'm like, sometimes when you're on your own, when you're by yourself, then you're like, oh wow, like, like not that you feel like less than, but you do feel like, I'm like, whoa, what is my time? What is my time like occupied? Like you kind of like start like that, go and be like, oh, what the hell? What is it that I like? What is it that I want to do? And I think like, like I think I was telling my brother, I was like, I turned 42 this year, and I was like, I think I'm just starting to like maybe experience like a midlife crisis, because I never felt like I had one when I was 40. But now that I'm 42, I'm like, I am starting to like not feel like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a motorcycle, I'm gonna get a tattoo or nothing like that. If I do, I don't know. But like, but I do feel like I'm questioning myself a lot more. Like, you know, oh, like, you know, like 42, like you're like literally you're gonna be 50 in 8 years. Like what?
Calm down.
Like to me, like that's like I feel like, and before I never felt like that. I was just like, oh, you know, I turned 40, like whatever. Like I'm still young. And now I'm
The
starting
numbers
to,
approaching faster.
not that the numbers are, I think it's a mindset thing. And I think the fact that like Edgar's going away to college and this and that, and I'm like, oh shit, it's like, you know, we're gonna like be like empty nesters and like all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, like damn, like time is going by quickly. So I feel like in a way, I guess maybe I am going through like a midlife crisis now, or the beginning like thoughts of something like that. I don't know that I'm having a crisis, but I am questioning like myself a lot more.
So you're having midlife moments.
I guess, I don't know. If you see me with like, if you see me on the next episode with like tattoos all over my arms and like,
You already had your midlife like episodes, fool. You started when you came on here with some longer, like I was like, that long hair gotta go. You're like, it's gonna stay forever.
that was just quarantine here.
You don't call it what you want. You
But it's
use
like,
that as an
but
excuse.
see, even that,
Yeah.
but that's the thing though. Like sometimes the things that start out like nothing, they like start like rolling, and like, you know, snowballing. And then you're like, oh, and you remember like, oh yeah, I did try to grow my hair. Oh yeah, I did do this. Oh yeah, I did do that. And you're like, oh shit, like
Maybe this is the moment.
like what am I doing?
Yeah. I think I have to agree that, you know, it's forever changing moments for us when we're trying to grow our, you know, trying to get to know ourselves and love ourselves at every step. But, you know, sometimes it can be hard, because what if you want to do like a big change to yourself because you want to self-love, like you want to love yourself forever, and what if you don't like the person that I am then? So we should bond and bond on other levels. You know? So I think, that's tricky. It can be tricky. Excuse me, Jesus.
But to me, that's where where you were saying that, where you were using words like duty and like loyalty or whatever, like,
Yeah.
then I think those words start to make more sense, because I think, you know, then, and respect and stuff like that, I think then those things start to make more sense, because, you know, the person that you might have fallen in love with 20 years ago, you know, is not the person sitting next to you anymore.
I have to say though, you know, there are some parts of you that I didn't like, you know, back in the day, and I like a lot you more now. You know what I mean?
Well, what about when I'm 60 and I'm like all mean and
then you go back and divert the other way?
And like,
Oh God, don't do that. I mean, if you want, I can't stop you from doing that. But like, I do enjoy your company. I enjoyed it then. I enjoy it now. And I have to say, I like this now. But even if you change, I just hope you change where the change isn't difficult to accept. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
would you say the same about me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like you want your partner to like I think you want, like when you're on a path together, and you want your
For $10.99, you can call us in at this 1-800 number.
and you want your
Best advice. No, I'm just kidding.
and you want your partner to continue on that same path. But then like at a certain point, you have to realize that, you know, they may need to go through something different, because you know, you had like, you know, you said like 10 years of depression where you didn't really experience life the way that you wanted to. So
Not the way that I want to, the way it wasn't everybody's natural experience.
yeah, so sometimes you have like, I think sometimes you're like, you have certain things that you're like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And to me, like in my mind, I might think like, well, I already did that. Like, I feel like I already experienced that. I already went through that.
Yeah.
But then I have to be like, you know, think like out of like, because you are my wife, and because I do feel like, you know, like a sense of like connection to you. And then I'm like, you know, I feel like, oh, you know, she needs to go through that.
She needs to go through that heartbreak or that headache.
Yeah, like she needs to go through that. And it's like, and it's not my thing. It's not mine to be like, you know what? We've already been there. We already done that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I've been there. I might have been there and I might have done that. But by the same token, like you might have experienced something that I've never experienced. And then I'm at the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like where, you know, I might want to make a mistake like that you already made. And then you're like, well, no, it's going to go like this. But like, no, but let me figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, let me like fall on my ass and then be like, oh, okay.
Well, that hurt. Yeah, yeah.
But I think it's not an easy thing to do because, like, let's be honest, sometimes it can be difficult to do that.
Yeah, and it's difficult to watch your partner go through it. And then you're like, well, they have to, you know, they're going to have to evolve and they're going to have to grow the way they grow. They're going to have to experience it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost like a kid, no?
Yeah, it's almost like a kid, but in form of like, so when you like going through life, right? Well, you're not the same person you were when you're 20, when you're 50, because your experiences are different, and the world changes you, dude. Like even if you don't think so, even if you don't want to be changed, the world itself is going to change you. You're going to interact with people you've never met, and they're going to tell you things, or you're going to experience things together, or even just life happens, right? Death happens, life happens, change is inevitable, and that change is it's either going to harm you or help you, but it will change you.
Okay.
And so, you know what I'm saying? So, that change, I guess you have to go through. So, however you resurface on the other side is what you're left with.
Yeah.
Basically.
Pretty much. But it was like that reminded me of something that I saw like on social media. It was like two like little monitos, and one of them was telling the other one, "You've changed," and the other one said, "We're supposed to."
Yeah, the other one said, "Yeah, we're supposed to change."
Yeah,
yeah, I seen that one too.
I was like, "Oh, I like that. That's like that's true."
It is true. It's like, well, it's dark, yeah, because the lights turn off. That's what happens.
I got all the game, don't get fucked in your brain. I can do you worse than you ever did me first.
My name is Anjelica Casares.
And I'm Juan Alanis.
So if you're out here and you've left us a rating, Juan, you just told me right now we had a rating, right?
Yeah, I was saying that I was saying that people have a lot of opinions about our podcast and our like.
I don't know if they have it. Like they're not talking about us.
us.
They don't have a lot of opinions, but they've left us a review.
No, I say that jokingly because we've gotten a few comments here and there. And,
okay. So we're encouraging people to come and leave us a rating and review.
So
you're
we're
right.
like,
You're right.
One thing about us is that we are pretty thick-skinned. At least I consider myself to be pretty thick-skinned.
You are.
So
don't be mean to me.
So we take everything. We take all the feedback that you give us, and we really appreciate it because we feel like this is a learning experience for us as we're kind of learning to do this more and more. And where we started a year ago is not where we are now, but who knows where we're going to be in a year from now if we're still doing this.
Yeah.
But
we're enjoying it.
We wanted to take a moment while you're listening to this podcast to just say thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to us, and to remind you to share this podcast and any other podcast that you might have enjoyed with your friends and family, and to let you know that we're on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, all that good places that you can go and listen to podcasts. But you can find all our links at juanofwords.com and on all our social media accounts.
Back up on my piece shit, I don't care if you don't like it. I'm really different, don't gotta show you I'm like that.
So the last one, it's universal love. It is pronounced agape. Agape. We're totally putting Spanish pronunciations on this.
Greek. It's Greek. It's like a Latin language. Like let's go with the Spanish.
Wouldn't it be Latin if it was in? I don't think Latin is Greek.
Greek is not a Latin language.
I don't think so, Juan.
Oh, it's not. I mean, it's not a romantic language.
What does that have to do with anything? I don't know.
Like they're based. Like romantic languages have like Spanish, French, Portuguese,
Greek.
French, and I don't know about Greek.
All right. So, agape, is our connection to the infinite power of love as it applies to humanity, earth, and the divine. When we speak of connecting to ourself, our tribe, our world, and beyond, we are calling for connection of agape love. We tap into agape most easily through meditation, time in nature, and following our intuition. We can also reach this by doing those things. We can also reach that love by doing those things that put us in the state of flow. When our subconscious is in control and our monkey mind is quiet, agape is the best enjoyed when feeling and actions are in alignment with the highest interest of all creatures. This love is the glue that binds us socially,
Physiologically?
yes, and environmentally. You could argue that our modern culture indicates a current lack of this love worldwide. This love is given without expectation of anything in return. This love is connected to all 7 major chakras and associated mostly with the crown chakra. So I guess the crown would be here, right? Because it's your mind, right? This is where your mind is at. So I guess when you literally say to people that maybe you don't know, or like, what's his name? Walter Mercado. Mucho amor. Was that it? Was that it? Mucho amor. Do it again.
He's like mucho amor.
You went from creepy to corny real fast. Okay, so no.
I watch that guy every day after school.
I don't remember what he did.
My mom always watches the horoscopes.
So it would be something like that. It would be like when Walter Mercado would say that, right? It's he's sending you love from that
I don't think so, because I think
Metaphorically minded
Walter Mercado
one.
was making he wasn't doing it altruistically. He was making a living. He was getting rich off of that. Like he was
You don't think
doing
he meant it?
He had a purpose.
You don't think he meant it? I believed him
Not
every
as-
time he said it.
Not as much, not any more than the people that are like on the.
Well, fuck, he fooled me because I
Psychic
believed him every
hotline.
time.
I mean, I think he was fun and he was lovable, but I don't know that I feel like he was altruistic.
I don't
in
know.
doing
When I
it.
felt it, I felt it through the TV. Like when he said mucho amor, and I was like, yeah, Walter Mercado, mucho amor to you too.
But one thing that they said I don't agree with is that they said that agape is lacking in today's society, and I don't think that's true. I think that
I think we have more of it now.
I don't know that we have more of it, but I think
feel like
that
we do.
I feel like it's there. Like I don't think it's gone anywhere.
Okay.
I think maybe we just express it differently. But I think that there is a lot of selfless love. A lot of people are willing to look out for each other, and I think people are willing to do things for other people without wanting anything in return.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that it's lacking. That's all.
But so I guess do you meditate? Have you ever meditated?
I've tried to, but it didn't do any good.
I don't think I ever feel like it's an inner peace. So is that like this? Like the universal, like inner peace, is it universal?
Well, see, the way
When you're trying to find like inner peace, so not self-love, but inner peace, right? Because you're trying to pull from like the universe.
But to me, like the way I interpret that, what they said there, and for that agape thing, like to me, the way I interpret it is like when I want to do for other people because I just want to see them succeed, not because of me, not because I want credit, not because I want anything like that. Especially when it comes to like when you think of like how your experience was, how your life journey has been. And you want to help other people who are having similar life experiences or who are coming from the same place that you did, and you want to be a resource, that you want to like help in some way.
So would you say like Mother Teresa would be this kind of love?
Yeah, well, definitely.
Where hers is like more like I want peace on earth, right?
Yeah,
I
but you
want
don't
there
have
to
to be
be-
Mother Teresa to have agape.
No, I know, but I'm trying to associate it with something that I understand.
Yeah, no, it's like somebody that starts a foundation and they're like, they don't have to be making any money on it. Like they can go years and years without making any money, without paying themselves. And it doesn't have to be that extreme either. It could just be somebody that, see somebody in the street and they see that they're cold and they take the coat off their back and they give it to that person. Like that can be agape because
That's selfish though,
how?
because you're doing it for like your. So I guess for me it would be where you don't necessarily see the outcome of that love that you're giving, right? So it would be like maybe you're giving your time to something and you're like it feels like you're putting in the hard work, but you don't see the benefits of it, right? You don't see them smile immediately when like the food bank like delivers this amazing like meal on like Thanksgiving. Like you don't see that, but you helped. right? But
Like
you don't
when they-
see it. It's not an immediate like satisfaction. It's just, you're just doing it because somebody at the end of this is going to receive, or it's something great is going to come good of it.
Like, sometimes like people do like barbecue cook-offs because
Yeah.
maybe somebody passed away.
Yeah.
And you don't know the story of the family, who was affected. You don't know you don't know anything about them. But like they say, tú vas y pones tu granito de arena, and you're like, here, like
Yeah, Rosian.
I'm gonna buy a couple of plates, what I can afford to help. I don't know the story,
Yeah.
but I know what that feels like. And you put your part.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you don't know anything about who that person could
Or
be.
what's going on. Yeah.
They could have been bad, they could have been good, they could have been whatever.
Or like during my sister's barbecue benefit, and which, by the way, there's a lot of barbecue benefits in our culture lately because insurance, like health insurance and insurance, life insurance and stuff like that, and people don't prepare for these things, and there's a lot of them. That's a whole other maybe podcast that we can talk about, right? That they happen, and I think these are amazing, but we also need to talk about why they're happening. But like during my sister's barbecue, I never met the guy that was like doing the barbecue thing. Like, he just did it. You know what I mean? Like, they just do it. They take their time, and sometimes I remember we used to do barbecue benefits for like the seniors, right? We didn't even know what this money was going to go to. I don't even remember what we were doing, but I just remembered a lot of us would like stay overnight and like hang out and like cook the meat because it had to be like served the next day. We didn't directly benefit from it, but we knew that we like needed it, and some of us were going to need more than others. Some of us couldn't put more money than others. So we just kind of did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't see the full extent of what you're actually doing, what you're putting in.
Yeah.
So it would be the same mind flow, right? You're putting energy into the world. You're putting like you're trying to feed the world good, so like that good can stay on here.
And sometimes you do know the outcome of what's gonna, like, what the goal is, like, of the outcome that you want. Like, you know that maybe, like, you're giving money so that kids can have access to tutors, or you're giving money so that kids, can go to college.
You're giving time.
And you're giving that, that what the outcome is. So it's not like you're giving blindly without knowing any outcome. It's still like you're giving a part of what you have, or of yourself.
It's a good way to live by, just to agape, to do good, just because good needs to be given.
And I guess the part of that is like that you're doing it from the perspective of, like, as a human being, like this regardless of all the other things that can divide us, like, you're doing it like as a human being, from one human being to another. Like, you're doing it just because, not because, because you realize that at the end of the day, like, everything is connected in some way. So I guess that's why they talk about nature, because when you're in nature, you can't help but to think about, like, how small you actually are and how, like, connected everything actually is. So that even though like, you may feel like, what your life has nothing to do with the next person's, like, it all, like, in some way, things kind of like connect to each other.
The only time I ever feel small is when I'm next to a beach or an ocean. And
Grand Canyon?
Or the fucking Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
Or like I said, like the ocean, when we go to like next to the ocean and I see like the vast and it's just water and I'm like, damn, we're fucking nothing.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you feel the sense of humanity, like, in a situation where you're like, everybody here, like, if something happens, everybody here, we're all going to be, experiencing the same things, striving to survive, striving to do this, striving to do that. And at the end of the day, you remove all the other bullshit, and it's like, a lot of times that's what it is. Like, people are just trying to survive and live their lives. And when you, like, can come at something from that approach, like, it's easier to, like, overlook all the other stuff, like the bad things people do.
Yeah.
Or that we do. Like, it's not just people, it's like we do bad things too.
You do bad things. I don't do bad things. But yeah, that's it. That's the 7 kind. What did you learn today? What did you learn?
That I can't pronounce Greek words.
Okay, besides that, what did you learn?
Well, I mean, I like that. I like
Yeah.
the 7 languages of love or the 7 types of love. That
The
you
7
said.
kinds of love.
7 kinds of love. I like them. I mean, I think it's good. I think that you can have like multiple of these at the same time, and I think that like there's something
think
to
the
be
idea-
said for embracing love at every kind of love at every stage.
I think the idea is to have all these recognize all these forms of love, right? Not get fixated on just a few, but
What I do like think is like it would have been nice to like have a better understanding on these 7 kinds of love like when I was 20
God, I know, right?
as opposed to now, because like, and when you're in your 20s, like it's like you don't no te miras ni siquiera los, like you don't even like see past your feet, you're like everything is like right here.
You can't see past your hand.
Yeah, you can't see past your dick. Everything is right in front of you, and you feel like your whole world is like right here.
Yeah, because it feels like that.
Yeah, and it's like if you only knew.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I wish like if there was a course to take like on this, like how to apply these and how to better explain some of these, because these are just, I mean, because it sounds profound, and on here, Juan, I find that we're talking a lot about love and relationships on here, because we're in that place in our life where we're trying to connect with each other like on a deeper level, and then we're trying to connect with the world existing outside of us. So the podcast sounds like it sounds like this is like we're going through our experiences, and you can tell what kind of experiences we're going through based on like the things that we bring up in topic and conversation.
Yeah, and I think it's good. I mean, I think that's good to like be your like just speak from where you are, because that's where you are in the moment.
Yeah.
Like speak honestly and just try to be like as
transparent,
honest, I said honest again, but like as like just try to be as like who you are as possible, and like not
be your true self,
not like como se dice, like edit yourself so much to be like, because I think like the other thing is like because we grew up, but because we've been so involved in like in social media, like it's so easy to edit yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think a platform like this makes it like more open, like it makes it like more accepting, or like for us more comfortable.
Yeah.
To just be open.
Yeah.
About what you're thinking.
I'm definitely giving out more invitations for people to like enter my life, because I feel I'm much more receptive now. To those conversations, to conversations, to have heart to hearts, not even heart to hearts. It can just be mundane things, and I you know what I mean? I think it's fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
So I'm at that place where I want to know these things. So I don't know, maybe we'll go look at a class or something. Yeah. Or take a remedial course on love.
Take a Greek love class.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. That's today's topic. That's today's podcast.
Hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you enjoyed it. What did you think? Do you believe that there are 7 kinds of love, or do you just believe there's one, and it's just at different levels of that one love?
And which one is your favorite, if you do have a favorite love?
If you do have a favorite love.
If you do have a favorite kind of love, what would you say? And if you're a little bit more experienced than we are in life, what would you say like are the things that you're experiencing now?
Where should we focus right now? Tell us, where should we focus right now? I feel like we're not looking for answers, but we're looking for suggestions. Tell us where we should focus. Where do you think that, like Juan said, are you a little older than us and you found yourself like maybe you needed to do more of this lately? What can we expect? And if you're younger than us, be ready to receive the world. You think you're opened, you think you're opened up to love. You think you're open to things. You think you experience things. Just sit down, hold tight. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's humbling.
Okay.
Damn. And there you have it. That's today's episode, folks. I hope you enjoyed this one. And to our sponsor, Comcast, thank you again for sponsoring this episode. And I guess
As always, you can find us on juanawords.com, and you can go to all our social media accounts at juanawords, and you'll find all our latest episodes, this one and the rest of them. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts. Leave us a rating or a review if you have time, and you'll enjoy this podcast. I know we've received a couple of emails, but if you guys that are emailing us want to go over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review, we would really appreciate that too.
That'd be amazing.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening.
And with that,
we'll see you next time.
bye.
Bye.